Hey everyone, it is Saturday, June 27th, 2015, and this is Radio Tokyo coming to you live. And before we even get into this, I want to read everyone something that happened yesterday. This is the most beautiful thing I have ever read in my life. No union is more profound than marriage, for it embodies the highest ideals of love, fidelity, devotion, sacrifice, and family. In forming a marital union, two people become something greater than once they were. As some of the petitioners in these cases demonstrate, marriage embodies a love that may endure even past death. It would misunderstand these men and women to say they disrespect the idea of marriage. Their plea is that they do respect it so deeply that they seek to find its fulfillment for themselves. Their hope is not to be condemned to live in loneliness, excluded from one of civilization's oldest institutions. They ask for equal dignity in the eyes of the law. The Constitution grants them that right. The judgment of the Court of Appeals for the Sixth Circuit is reversed. It is so ordered. That is the final statement for Justice Kennedy's striking down the dumbass idea that marriage in the United States is a man and a woman. Everyone now has the right to get married, and I'm pretty goddamn excited about that. What do you guys think?
I am very, very excited, as you can totally hear by my voice. No, but seriously, I'm excited. Very, very great day.
Super duper good.
Can't
John.
hear you.
Huh?
She's just making noises.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
We're so excited that we're speechless at this point.
Yeah.
So basically, you were so excited that you were shorting out your microphone because you were going too loudly.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, but I have a lot of LGBT friends and people that support gay marriage, and we're very happy. Everyone's very happy. So I'm very, very, very happy for all of them.
I can finally marry Jennifer Lawrence.
Whoa. I want to be at that wedding.
You can marry who?
Jennifer Lawrence.
The
one
actress.
So beautiful.
Oh, okay. I'm just personally excited about it because, I mean, this is the United States. Everyone's supposed to be free and equal and happy and everything. And you know, supposedly, what really gets me is that apparently, according to a certain segment of the population, I'm not going to even address these people directly, that when this happened, they were going to have a couple of reactions. One, they were going to set themselves on fire. Two, they were going to move to Canada. And three, the world was going to end. And I'm sorry, yesterday was a beautiful day. It was 93 degrees. It's probably that today. The sun is shining. It's wonderful and amazing. And I don't see hellfire and brimstone coming down from the sky. Because
you realize that gay marriage is legal in Canada, right?
Also, don't forget the people that promised to get divorced. I'm waiting to see that happen.
Yeah. You know what? I hope they get a divorce, and I hope that guy burns himself to death.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I really have to say. Because,
like, how are you so against something that you're going to end your own marriage over it? Like, that's not a good statement. It's like, oh, if you can get married, I'm going to get divorced. Like, how is that, like, how does that, affect us? Like, oh, so you're going to end your marriage because we finally have rights? I'm sorry. Like, why don't you do something productive with your life? Like, go over there and make babies and be annoying and be ignorant. But, like, you're going to get divorced. Wow, that's expensive as hell.
I don't
Yeah,
like.
I never got this arguments. Just because marriage is legal doesn't mean the church has to approve of the marriage, and it's not going to affect your marriage in any way. So
Like, there's
what
supposed
does
to
it
be a
matter?
separation of church and state, and, like, that's why this whole marriage equality thing has been such a big issue, is because it's looked down upon in the eyes of the church, and that view has been ruling the country. So I don't care if the Catholic Church doesn't approve of gay marriage. It's legal by law. You don't have to approve it, and you don't have to let them get married in your church, but they're gonna get married. That's the end of it.
Just yeah, I'm a Roman Catholic, but I totally support gay marriage. If they want to get married, that's fine by me. I will go to their wedding and celebrate with them.
I'm a Wiccan. I love everybody.
I love everyone too.
That was what I
My
told
church doesn't always
No one loves
fight
you,
it.
though, Nick.
my
What? Ah,
that was what I told my gay and lesbian friends. I said, hey, I expect invites to your wedding. God damn it! I mean, I may never go, but I would at least like the invitation to the wedding. But see, like this whole thing for me is summed up in the title of this week's episode, which really has absolutely nothing to do with the topic this week. But
I,
freedom is the
I,
right
I,
of all sentient beings. I'm sorry. It's time to stop being oppressive and shitty to people just because someone 5,000 years ago said don't do it. That was 5,000 years ago.
Well,
I, I also expect like 50 wedding invitations in my email or mail in the next week. I demand it.
So yeah, this is us officially holding people for ransom for wedding invitations now. That there's more people who get to have married, and I'm sorry, but I've seen some gay weddings. They're fabulous. Sorry, that was a bad joke. I should feel bad for that, but I had to make it. Anyway,
You feel bad. Feel
yeah,
bad.
I kind of do. But anyway, this week's topic. Uh, Danny, do you want to explain this week's topic?
what is it that hard to understand? We're talking about classic video games, like video games that started the whole epidemic of video games and launched us to where we are now, like the classic Sonic and the classic Mario and the classics when they were good and not awful, like Sonic is now.
Sonic is pretty awful now.
Sonic is god awful now. Sonic was amazing as a 2D side scroller platformer game because that's what it originally was. You're jumping, you're running, you're going real fast, you're exploring all the courses, you're getting all the rings, and then you beat the level as fast as you can, and it's super awesome. And Mega Man had the same idea, and it was really cool. But in Mega Man, there were like bosses and you shot enemies and stuff. It's really cool. But now, Sonic is all like, oh, well, we're an RPG adventure explorer side scroller platformer game. And it's like, no, just stop. Just stop.
I've noticed a lot of games um that were really great as classic games have had a hard time transitioning into, I guess, the modern 3D era. And I think part of that is they went away from what made them great, like you were saying with Sonic when they went from a 2D side scroller to 3D. And honestly, it's a 2D game, and it should stay 2D.
It was a good game as a side scroller platformer. Like, that's the only way it worked. So if you're gonna bring it into the new generation of games, you need to keep it as it was. It needs to still be a platformer game, not like embracing all this different crap. Like Mario has done it okay. They've they've taken what Mario is. You explore, it's a side scroller, you're getting to the end of the dungeon or the end of the level to find the princess or rescue whoever's in danger, and that's what they've done with every segment of Mario games. And then they've built off of the characters and putting them in different games like Mario Golf and Mario Party and Mario Kart, and all of those were based off of the original side scroller. And they've done a good job with that. But like games like Sonic has just not done it well at all.
Hmm.
See, like the Mario games, where they're 3D and everything, that works. I mean, it to me it works. I know a lot of people, don't particularly like it, but I mean, I grew up, playing it where it was a side scroller too. It was fun. I really enjoyed it, but now it's just different, and it's a little more enjoyable, to be able to play it now, where you can actually turn the camera and see what Mario's looking at and everything. But what really sold me on the whole um, 3D concept for games has got to be Legend of Zelda. I mean, unquestionably, uh, the Zelda games, they seem to function a lot better as
Zelda
something
has done a really good job with going from like a flat 2D like explorer game to being a 3D explorer game. Like there's still like the RP aspect where like you're going to these different places and you're talking to these different peoples and you're trying to get to the meat of the situation, and then you know um, then they bring it into the 3D world, but you've still got all the original aspects of Zelda. Like you still have your bombs, you still have your bow and arrow, you still have the like the strong lifting, and you still have like magic, and you still have the fairies, and you still have all of these things, but they're just transitioned well into a 3D platform.
I think part of the advantage that Zelda has over games like Sonic and even Mario is that because it wasn't a side scroller, it was if you really think about it, it was taking place in more or less a 3D environment.
That's true.
You could go up, down, left, right. So from a design standpoint, it wasn't as difficult to transition from the 2D environment to the 3D environment. I think Sonic and Mario had a much more difficult time from a technical standpoint, but Mario obviously handled that much, much better.
Yeah. But I mean,
Um,
like, I think the
I
developers of Sonic could have seen the way other people were developing it, and they could have gone, oh, okay, well, this is how this should be, you know?
well, I think part of Sonic's problem lies in the design of the game, which is speed. Trying to create speed in a 3D environment becomes rather difficult, I would say. Where Mario, you can take your time and focus more on the platforming.
That's true.
Even in Sonic's 3D games, most of their best moments usually are when it's more of a 2D perspective focus, honestly, or a side-scrolling focus, even if it's in a 3D um, graphics or environment or setting.
Well, I
Um,
think like the main reason that Sonic is failing as it is because they're trying to be everything. And in trying to be all of these things, it loses what it originally was and it stops being whatever it was. Like Sonic Boom is a great example. Like I've watched this game be played through and I cannot tell you what the genre of this game is because it has role playing, there's adventure, there's action, there's platforming, there's side scrolling platforming action, and then there's like exploration. And it's like, what are you trying to be? I think that if the Sonic franchise just cut out all of these role play and adventure and action things and just stuck to being a platformer, even in a 3D setting, the platformer would make the game more successful because that's what people liked in the beginning, and no one seems to like it as it is, but the developers keep producing crap.
yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think part of the reason that Super Mario 64 did so well, and it's usually heralded as the game that made 3D a thing, really, is that it focused mostly on platforming and exploration. That was its main focus, and it stayed true to that. And that's why they could transition so well.
Yeah, and
Now
it
there
just
were
it,
some,
that was what the game was. It's like we have this thing where we can platform and we're still exploring. And then like they didn't just stick to platforming though. They introduced Mario in like the 3D setting, and then in Mario 64 where it was like you're still doing the same thing you do in the original Mario. It's just in a 3D setting. Like you're going through these different levels and you have access to a bigger environment. So instead of you picking what world you go to through a menu screen, you pick what world you go through by going to different locations in the castle, and you can't go to certain spots unless you've completed so many objectives. And like then they like broaden their horizons with that, but they still stuck to the same idea, which is what makes it good.
Yeah, and then when they wanted to do other things with the Mario franchise, they made them separate games with completely different designs. Like Paper Mario was their RPG, and it was a great game because it was an RPG and it wasn't focused on the platforming. And then you had things like Mario Golf and all the sports games, and those were sports games. They weren't trying to mix the platforming of Mario with sports.
No, they
And
made them their own unique game, but they still used the same characters that everyone loved.
yeah, which is but I think what you're saying is really true though. You have to stick to your genre or the genre of the game that you're making and not try to combine everything. Because if you try to combine too much, you just lose the fun sometimes.
You lose the fun completely, especially in a game that, you know, was built on what Mario and Sonic were built on. They were built on being platformers, and Mario has just expanded itself and still staying this platformer, but it's just doing it in a 3D setting and making it even more fun. Sonic just was like, oh, well, this is what we are, and this is what's popular in games now, so let's just throw every genre we can into this game and hope to God it sells.
And I was just gonna say that kind of reminds me of some of our complaints of World of Warcraft a little bit, and some of our other modern games is that there's just too much content or too many different things in there, and you lose focus and you're trying to do everything because you want to experience the entire game, and it just becomes frustrating, and you lose sight of what you loved at the first part.
And then, like, I forgot what I was going to say.
I don't know.
My brain completely pooped.
It's gone.
It's just gone. Like, it fell out of me and went.
I'm
Well, okay.
that gave me a disturbing visual.
When you mentioned Sonic Boom earlier, I actually went and looked something up because I was thinking it was something other than what it was. But what I found was that it's also the cartoon that is currently on Cartoon Network, and I watched a little bit of it the other morning. It comes on at like 6 o'clock in the morning my time, and I watched a few minutes of it, and I kind of have to say, if the cartoon is anything like the video game, then I honestly have no hopes for the future of Sonic the Hedgehog, because that is a bad,
I don't know why they decided it would be a good idea to
bad
make it
cartoon.
into a cartoon. Like, a video game should stay as a video game. You cannot make it into a cartoon, especially a game that's a platformer. This is a platformer. We work as a platformer, but, oh, let's just suddenly turn ourselves into a cartoon. That's awful.
Well, the '90s Sonic cartoon was good. I do remember that.
That was actually good. I mean, like, sometimes you can take a video game and make a cartoon out of it, and it's fine. Like Super Mario did that. They let us do that. I mean, it was a little, it was a little silly, but it worked. And they did it with Legend of Zelda and what's that show called? Games like Castlevania and a couple other things. You know, like they had actual cartoons made out of them, and they were fine. But when they did it with Sonic Boom, it's no, it was just messed up. And if that is what the game is like, then I really have no desire at all to play it.
No.
Well, Supposedly, the cartoon is better than the game, according to some of my friends that are Sonic fans.
Well, of
No,
course the cartoon's gonna be better because it's not like it's just shitty. The whole thing's just shitty.
I am a Sonic fan, and I have seen the Sonic Boom cartoon, and I have to say, no, no. Like, I mean, if really, if this cartoon represents what this game is, I have no interest in playing it. And it's pretty much sold. It, I am no longer sold on the idea of playing Sonic based off of how much a TV show. I mean, I realize that's a weird thing to say. I want to play a video game because of a TV show, but I mean, really. I have to agree with Kenny. It belongs solely as like a side-scrolling thing because I mean, it works sometimes, and the 3D thing is kind of cool, but the rest of the time, no, no,
It's just not something that works.
Yeah, I mean, it's just when your whole point is going fast at breakneck speeds, and you're trying to do, you know, turning and things like that, and even from a realistic standpoint, you can't do things like that.
One game in the Sonic series that they did do well in the 3D setting was Sonic Adventure 2. They had a level select, and you could go through these levels, and it's still platforming, and you ran through and you completed the levels and you collected rings. And then they also had like the Chow aspect. Like those things saved whatever little piece of the Sonic franchise that was left. There was this bonus objective, like you can go into this special little world and you can, collect coins and put those coins to something so that you weren't just playing the game and collecting all these stuff like unnecessarily, and then you were going through like the platforming story, which is bad. But then you have these little Chow, and they're adorable, and you take care of them, and like by going through all these levels, you can collect things to affect their, stats and stuff. And that was cool. That was really cool. I wish that they would make more Sonic games in that like that. Like you can keep 3D platforming idea, but you can also have this extra thing with the Chow. So it's like all these things that you're collecting you can put into something else. But like they've glossed over the fact that that was really successful, and they've moved on to like throwing everything but the kitchen sink into their game.
Well, the way I would compare their problem is, I would say Sonic moves at the speed of a fighter jet. I don't know. What would you say? You say that'd be
Mm,
about right?
yeah, because he's faster than the jets that come after him. So yeah, I would have to say that. Yeah.
Now, if you think about a flying game, right, where you're going that fast, you can't make super fast turns or things like that in that kind of environment
No, you
because
can't. You have to literally almost stop yourself and then turn.
because it, it would be just completely disorienting, especially I mean it wouldn't be as bad when you're in the middle of the sky with nothing around you. But if you were in something with perspective, like in the city or an environment where there are things around you, it would just be really, really disorienting and hard to follow and just drive you insane at a certain point.
Yeah.
And that's part of their problem is they're trying to move you at these breakneck speeds while still keeping you in an environment where your perspective is constantly shifting. You can solve a lot of that by keeping it as a 2D platform because your focus is only going in one direction, usually left or right. So it's easier to follow, but when you're in 3D, your perspective completely changes and it becomes really annoying and really hard to follow.
And
Which is
and the problem with like the newer games with Sonic is they don't even try with it anymore. Like if you watch playthroughs of Sonic Boom, there are so many glitches and inconsistencies. Like in the pre-rendered cutscenes, I remember the Game Grumps, they did a stop motion, like, you could see in the parts where somebody had to pre-render this frame by frame by frame, and they had to watch all of this, and there are just so many things that are inconsistent, like people are glitching forward and backwards, and the shadows are not in the right places, and people are appearing and disappearing, and it's all in a split second, so you don't catch it on the screen, but if you're watching it all together, you can notice that there's just this glitch or hop, and something's just not right, and then you can glitch through the entirety of Sonic Boom because Knuckles has this jump where when he's halfway through his jump, he can jump again, and you can continue to do that, and you can jump over all of the walls in the game and get to the end of the game in like 5 hours.
Yeah, but that was just horrible game design.
It was, but like if you're gonna make a game and you're gonna make it in a 3D and you're gonna try and match the competition and you're gonna try and launch Sonic into all of these different things, you have to put the effort in and you have to make it good. And if you make it bad, then you're just continuing to screw over the franchise and you're continuing to like ruin the name of Sonic, and people are not going to want to play the games that come after that because, oh, you spent all this money on production and you put all this money into rendering these scenes and making all this stuff, and your money went to crap because you didn't actually try to make this game any good.
Yep.
General consensus: Sonic sucks.
What about you're gonna think I'm crazy for bringing it up. The Temple Run game and the games that function like that. To me, if there was a Sonic game that was done like that, it would. I think that would be a lot better than trying to do something like where you can have the fully 3D realized Sonic games like we've been talking. Like if they made it to where you see like from Sonic's point of view almost, and you have to make these decisions. Like you get to see where you get to go. Like that that might be better to me than most of the other ideas that
I
have
think
been.
that would be cool. I mean, Temple Run was really, really successful, and it was really, really addicting because it was simple, but it was still challenging, and like you, it was just fun. And I think like if Sonic went back to its roots and tried to reimagine it in a more modern setting, then the game would be successful.
I'm not. I can't. I'm not sure if I ever played Temple Run, so I can't really compare.
It's a really really fun game. I mean, like it's stupidly simple. I mean, it's like platform games used to be. You're basically moving only in one direction. But like with a side scroller, you can move left, you can move right, you can go up and down. With Temple Run, you basically do that. Only you're not watching it from the side. You're following your little character that you're moving around. And Sonic the Hedgehog would work like that. It would work really well that way.
Hmm. Yeah, that definitely sounds like it might.
It would work, but they're not gonna do that because, well, why would they bother? They could make everything and put it in the kitchen sink again, and then make another Sonic game. It'll be fantastic. Woohoo! So good.
Oh, hey, we actually have a comment, so I want to address it right now. David says there actually is a Sonic Temple Run game, and that it's awesome. So I
Really?
think all three of us are going to have to look at. Thank you for mentioning that, David. Yeah, we're gonna have to look into that and try it just to see if it is awesome. Not that we don't believe you, but just we want to see.
They should just make the whole series like that.
I want to see it.
Me too.
They could even make a Mario version like that, I think, and it would work. But like Legend of the Zelda.
Legend of the Zelda.
Did I say the?
Yes, you did.
Like when when
The Zelda.
when you said that, I heard that. I'm sorry. Um, I think that might not work that way. Uh, if they keep making these three. Okay, I have actually not played the the version of it where you're on the Wii, but from what I understand, that's easily the most immersive one. But I like, for example, Ocarina of Time. That was my that is my go-to when I describe a Zelda game because that just seems to me like a much better game to play, and I don't see a Zelda game getting any better than that.
I
Oh,
really liked Wind Waker.
yeah, Wind Waker and Twilight Princess are
Yeah,
actually.
Wind Waker and Twilight Princess were amazing.
Yeah, I would honestly say. I mean, Ocarina of Time is a classic. It will always be a classic, but and it has a huge nostalgia factor. But I would say Wind Waker and Twilight Princess might be better games.
It's just so fun. And I mean, it's Wind Waker it has a cute cartoony style and but it still is a Zelda game in all aspects. You're exploring, you're going through the temples, you're rushing to save your sister and then save Zelda and then save Hyrule. Like that's what Zelda games are. You're the hero. You have to save the world.
And Twilight Princess is probably the darkest Zelda game,
Oh, yeah,
um,
by
from
far.
a setting, but it was beautiful. It was just completely beautiful.
And it was
And
so well done.
yes, it was very immersive and it was very intuitive. It was it was great. It was just great.
And aesthetically, the games are beautiful.
Hmm.
When Wind Waker came out, I honestly don't remember anyone who liked it, but that was when it came out. But now, I've talked to some of the same people who didn't like it when it was new, and now that it's come out, they've gone back and played it, and it's become. I've played maybe 3 or 4 hours total of it. It's been a long time since I have. But I got the like the Zelda Collector's Edition for the GameCube, bitches, and it had a sample playthrough for Wind Waker, and I don't remember where it left off, but it it was a little different at that time, and now going back and thinking about what I played, yeah, it was pretty good, but um,
It's a game you have to get used to because just moving from a primarily land environment to a primarily water environment's gonna be disorienting for the first hour or two that you're playing. But
Yeah, you have to get used to it, but once you get used to it, it's so good.
yeah, it's really really good.
And it's cute and you get, attached to the characters and you feel like you want to make a difference and you feel like you're like, wow, I'm gonna save the princess, I'm gonna save my sister, this is gonna be great.
Hmm.
well, I
And
want to
then
know.
and it's fun.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's
Um,
fun. Me.
okay, I was going to say is what I want to know is why the hell can't we have more games that give you that feeling? I'm not like a big console gamer. I used to be, but that was you know years and years and years ago. I think the last thing I actually played on like an actual console, uh, Jesus, was it really Guitar Hero? Wow, damn. Um, but I I know a lot of people, like other than you, Danny, who play console games, and they've all been pretty disappointed in them because most of them they seem to be able to beat them in less than a day,
And
except
it's not
for
just that you can beat them in less than a day, it's just like the developers also promise so much, and then when you actually get your hands on it, it's like really disappointing. Because, like, for me, I run dual screens on my computer, and my secondary screen is actually TV, and connected to my TV, I have my PS4 and my Wii U. One of the games I get to play on the PS4 is Destiny, and that's an Activision Bungie uh, brainchild, and Bungie they made Halo, didn't they? Right, or Activision did,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
Bungie.
and you go into this thinking, oh wow, this is going to be really immersive. It's a shooter, but it's going to be really immersive and it's going to be really good. And like they promised all of these things as the development was going, and when the game was released, they had cut the story in half and just things don't make sense. And in order to learn any of the lore in the game, like they give you Bungie cards, but to read any of these Bungie cards, you have to leave the game, go to your computer, type in the website, find your profile, and then read through your 2,000 Bungie cards. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm playing the game to be immersed in it and learn through the game, not go online and read everything. Like, if you have all this lore, put it in the goddamn game, not make me have to go on the computer and look it up. That's stupid as hell.
Um, my friend and I, when we first saw Destiny, we were both really, really excited for it. And we were both gonna get the game and play together. And he got it, and because I didn't have the money for the game at the time. And when he got it, he told me that it was trash. It was like the most hyped game that there's been in a long time, and it was just complete trash because almost everything they promised, they just didn't come through with.
Yeah, and they gutted it, essentially.
And the only reason that people are honestly playing at this point, I think, is because they bought the season pass and everything, and so they're just trying to get their money's worth at this point to some extent.
Well, I mean, another reason people are playing now is because an expansion pack came out, and the expansion pack is very good. It doesn't fix all the significant problems that Destiny have, but it does make it fun again. And another reason people are playing is because there's a huge expansion pack coming out in September, and that is going to put in a bunch of stuff, and apparently it's going to be great, and like people are excited about that. So
Supposedly.
yeah, supposedly. So we'll see. But I mean, that's still building hype, and it's building it so that people come back and like, hey, like this is really exciting and fun, and this is coming out in a few months. Like, get excited, hype.
I know a grand total of 2 people who play Destiny. 2,
I
and
know,
that's kind of sad to me.
I know, like 3 or 4, I think.
I
Now,
know
like if you want to
a
mention,
bunch of people at this point, but that's only because I play with them.
well, I'm okay. Like if you wanted to, discuss something like Call of Duty, hell yeah, I know people who play Call of Duty, you know, till sunrise to sunset. But Destiny just seems to have been a super, super sucky game. I mean, it even had a little parody video about it made by Cracked.com where one of their contributors is they're playing it to the same level over and over and over again. And one of the other ones walks in the room and says, "Didn't you just finish that?" He goes, "Yeah, but now if I finish it, I can get an item I didn't get before." Okay, well, why don't you just beat the game? Well, you can't beat the game until you get this. And to me, watching this was like, this is the definition of insanity. You're doing
Well,
something over and over and over again, and you're getting the exact same result. How many times do you have to play through the same level in this one game to get an item you didn't get before? And it's the same thing. Like you know where something's gonna come attack you from. I mean, like it's weird, but in a way, Um, it's a no for her retention mechanic like we used to have in older games, like Legend of Zelda. You know, you
Well, I would say it's using the item gating that World of Warcraft used to use, or uses, with its dungeons and things like that.
Hmm.
The only difference is that World of Warcraft provides you with like 10, 12 different dungeons to do over and over and over again, not just the same level over and over and over again.
but that seems to be, what Destiny, like, one of my nephews plays it, and I've asked him about it. And the game he's describing, okay, watching the trailer for it is cool. It looks neat, and I'm excited about it. But listening to him and everyone else I know, who play the grand total of two people I know who play it, it just seems like it's the most boring game ever made, and I really just don't get it.
As a whole, the game is a flop. I mean, there are significant things that they need to do to improve it. Um, but if they can do those things, it will make it a good game. But as it is, it's a flop.
I honestly think most people are playing just because they bought it.
Well, yeah, they want to get their money's worth out of it. But I mean, the same thing could be said for Call of Duty. I mean, that game's been shit for years now. They're
Eh.
literally just releasing a new title every year. Hey, get to max level, unlock all of these guns. Oh, wait, in 6 months, you're going to have to do it all over again. And if you want to continue to play this game because you like, the aesthetics or you like how this game plays better than the other one, well, too bad because everyone's playing the new one and you get nothing at all for playing this game. You have to go to the next one. And that just seems stupid to me. Like, you're going to pay $60 every year to play a new game and wish you do the same exact thing. There's no, like, large graphic update. There's no, like, significant game-changing thing that you can do in the new one that you couldn't do in the old one. It just seems like a waste of money to me.
Well, that's the
Well,
way a lot of people seem to view like the Halo games. But to, from what I understand, that's not how the games are actually played. I mean, each one is different, even though it's basically the same concept over and over. I mean, you're insert super soldier here and insert and insert world here fighting this enemy or that enemy. I mean, it seems to be the same basic thing, but yet those are two of the consistently most popular games ever.
And I don't understand why they're popular. It just seems like nonsense to me. It's you're doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. I mean, it just seems terrible. I
I
would get
can
so bored.
I can kind of understand it to an extent. Sometimes you just want to shoot things, and sometimes, or I like to think of it like how sports games are. And for instance, Madden. Madden is the same game every year, with maybe a slight graphical update. It is essentially the same game every year.
It's the same game, just with different players. Is all it winds up being. Also, one of our viewers
Well,
says it's definitely purchaser's obligation to finish a game. So thank you for that comment.
That's true. You feel
but
kind of obligated to finish the game, but I mean, like games like Call of Duty and Destiny, their campaigns literally take you 2 hours to beat. So there you go. You spent $60 to complete a 2-hour campaign and then go play multiplayer where you're literally just ramming your head against a wall and hoping to get a good weapon out of it.
but yeah, but no, but like I was saying, like with Madden, it is the same game every year. And like John said, you could literally release Madden, and I've said this before about Madden too. You could release Madden and then release a roster update, which they can do now easily, and you wouldn't need to upgrade the game for 3 or 4 years probably.
Yeah, you could just put in downloadable content. Like, here are this year's players. Here are the players we're removing. Here are some, new places to play. Here's some new stuff to buy. Here's a content patch. Don't go out and spend $60 on a new game and lose all your
Yeah,
progress.
which I think would be a vast improvement, and I would actually buy a Madden game again. Because I used to when I was younger. I used to buy them every year, but eventually I just got bored with it.
And I think in the
Because
long run they'd end up making more money because then they would have one game and then people could buy the DLC and they'd be really excited and they'd get more hype and they'd be like, oh, well, you don't have to buy a new game this year. There's just a big DLC pack and it's cheaper,
yeah,
but
for
more
like
people are gonna play.
$15, $20 or whatever. And then in 3 or 4 years they could release basically a much better version of the game, graphically, gameplay wise. They
Mhm.
they would have much more time to spend on it, develop it, things like that. And I think a lot of the problems of the modern era of gaming comes from just they're trying to rush these games out the door as fast as they can.
So basically, you're saying that the Madden series should adopt what Blizzard seems to have adopted with World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
No, no, no.
Yes.
Because Blizzard wants to release an expansion every year. I'm saying that Madden doesn't even need to do an expansion per se. It just needs to update its roster every year. That's all it needs to do. And it could survive for 3 or 4 years. And
But see,
everyone would still play it.
you said every couple of years, have something that's graphically updated, which is basically what we've gotten with World of Warcraft. They had the graphic update for, actually, it was Wrath of the Lich King had one, and then Cataclysm, and Mist Pandaria, and now Warlords of Draenor. Like, they've all had different additions and upgrades to the art style.
I'd
And
say
it's
every
the
other.
exact same thing. But now Blizzard has started adding in a lot of downloadable content. I mean, it's the in-game Blizzard store. It used to be, here, look, we have one or two mounts. Now, I think they're introducing one every 6 months or something.
I would be okay with that for a game like Madden. I mean, the Blizzard store does not bother me, honestly. Um, I mean, sure, I think things are overpriced. I don't think the mounts are worth, was it, $15, $20? I think
Yeah,
they're
but
worth
you don't
more.
have to buy them. Like, that's the thing. Like, if you really
Yeah,
want something, you'll spend the money on it. But if you don't really want it, hey, it's still there for somebody else who really wants it. And I think, like, games like Madden would benefit from something like that.
I
Then you
think
don't
about
have to go out and buy a new game. You can just buy the content patch, and it would be better in the long run, money-wise.
yeah, I think like for instance the mounts on World of Warcraft are more like $5 or something, and the pets would more like $3 or something
Yeah, that would make more sense.
Uh,
to
let me
me.
okay. Let me read. Excuse me. One of our comments. I think most companies are scared of innovation. They don't know where to go. Look at the Wii U. Sure, a good amount of people bought it, but in terms of sales in comparison to the original Wii, it almost failed as far as the Virtual Boy from way back in the day, and for the same reasons.
I think the Wii U has problems because the Wii U wasn't marketed well. It honestly wasn't. People were confused by it. They didn't know what made it different. They didn't even. I don't think most people even realized it was a new system. I
Yeah, they
think.
didn't really like market it as a new system. It's just like, here's the Wii U. End of commercial.
Yeah,
It's like, okay, well, what is it? Like, what is new about it? And I mean, eventually people got the hang of, okay, this is a brand new console. This is what it brings to the table. But like initially, like you need to. I know it's Nintendo, but even Nintendo needs to learn that like just because it says Nintendo on it doesn't mean people are going to jump on it. You need to like properly market this shit.
yeah. It was a horrible marketing campaign on Nintendo's part. And even though we like to think that doesn't matter, and that oh, it's a great console or it's a great game, so it's gonna sell no matter what, that's not true. You have to have a good marketing campaign. You have to have those things
You
in
have to
place.
show the general public what it is you're trying to get to them. Otherwise, they're going to be very confused and they're not going to understand and they're not going to want it because they're confused.
Yeah, when I saw the Wii U at first, the only thing I saw about it was that it was a gamepad. It's like, okay, do I need that really?
And I
Well,
mean, now the Wii U is successful. Now I'm like, hell yeah, Wii U. I want that shit.
oh, wasn't there a actually, there was a gamepad that was released. There were several of them by Nintendo, and I think that may be why Nintendo, just wants to do something cool and not mention it. They had um, the big square thing with the red and blue dots, and then there was, I think, at one point in time, like an actual pad that looked like the controller that you could jump up and down.
Oh, um, wasn't that like the Wii Fit thing?
I I don't remember honestly, but it was how you had to play. What the fuck is the name of that game? Dance Dance Revolution.
Yeah, 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 and you had the dance pad and everything.
Yeah, like the big fat thingy. But I don't remember that getting a big marketing thing or the actual stand-on pad. And then there was one years ago. I think it would rock back and forth. I don't remember exactly, but I do think Nintendo just depends, on saying this is a Nintendo product. You will buy it.
I mean, yeah,
Yeah,
it's Nintendo. People are gonna flock to it, but you need to properly advertise. And I think they're getting the hang of it now with the E3 conferences that they're going to and all of these things like that. They're getting better at it, but initially it's just like you have to market this stuff properly so that people can get excited about your game because hype is what sells games. Like hype for new games or hype for DLC, like these are the things that sell games. Like and people need to know what they're being hyped about. They need to they need to fully comprehend what it is that they're getting so that they can be either really, really excited or disappointed, and they can show the developers, hey, by this excitement level, this is what we're waiting for, and like they can alter the product based on the hype. But Nintendo is like focusing on the, oh, hey, it's Nintendo, you're gonna buy it, but I mean, yes, people will buy it, but we're not. But a larger audience won't because they don't understand what you're selling them.
and I think this is a lesson that Sony learned with its PS3 a few years ago because when they initially released the PS3, there were a lot of concerns about it. People thought it was too expensive. They released it after the Xbox 360. There weren't the initial lineup wasn't that great with the games, and Sony just kind of brushed that off aside and was like, you know what? People are gonna buy it anyways because they love the PS2. And they soon found out uh, the Xbox 360 dominated that early generation of consoles because it did not rest on its laurels. Microsoft went aggressively. They marketed well. They fought for games. They did a lot of things to earn the sales they got. And it took Sony years before they could turn the PS3 around.
See, you you said Sony will learn a lesson, and honestly, I don't think they have.
Well,
I
I
really
think that they
don't.
did. Did you see? Were you there for the E3 where they went up against the Xbox One? I'm sorry, but if there is any good comparison to having Sony learned their lesson, it was that.
Yeah,
Because
it
the
Well,
was.
I
PS4
mean,
went in guns blazing and was like, "We are a good product. Here's why."
It
And it
was,
wasn't just like, hey, we're better than the Xbox One because of all these reasons. It was like, no, here is all of our content. Here is all of the stuff that we do. Here is what the Xbox, or here's what the PS4 is, and here's what the exclusives are going to be, and here's what the stuff is coming down the line. It was like in your face. Here is the
and the,
PS4.
it helped that the Xbox One completely botched its initial showing. It was one of the worst presentations I have ever seen.
And it's
But
helpful that
yeah,
the Xbox One continues to botch itself over and over again, and the PS4 just continues to be like, hey, we're good.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that Microsoft eventually learns its lesson now, but we'll see about that. But
Maybe.
yeah, it that that the PS4 launch was an amazing difference compared to the PS3 launch, and they really, really learned their lesson. If in my opinion at least.
They really did. They were like, hey, this is. They were like, oh, people are just going to buy our game because it's Sony. No, 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 no. We're not just going to buy your game because it's a PS4 and we like the PS4. No, no. You need to, like, make us want this game. And they were like, okay, we're going to make you want this. And, oh my god, did they ever make you want this shit.
See,
Hell, I got one and I barely even play console games. I'm not a big console gamer, but, like, I went out and got a PS4 and I went out and got a Wii U. Like that says something. Like when you make when you make a product good enough to make somebody who is strictly a computer gamer want your console, and like that's how you build your audience. Not just like getting return customers to upgrade, getting people who don't usually buy that product to get that product.
Yeah, because initially before they showed the consoles, I would really wanted an Xbox One. But after seeing the presentations, and I haven't bought either one of them honestly yet, but I kind of want a PS4 a little more than I want an Xbox One,
Yeah,
just
I have
because
a
of
PS4 and I can't even begin to explain to you how happy I am with it.
yeah. I mean, it just seems like a better console from the way they presented it and things like that.
I said what I said about Sony because I was trying to get a dig in at Nick about Spider-Man.
Well, that's why Marvel took Spider-Man away from Sony.
Which,
Finally.
by the way, I don't know. I'm actually not sure if you two listened to the midweek update this week, but the new Spider-Man's been announced, and he will be in the next Captain America movie.
Ooh,
Yeah.
is he really?
Yeah,
Didn't they pick the oh god, what was that movie? I can't think of the movie. What movie was it? Someone help me. I cannot think of it.
I have no idea.
the Civil War movie.
No, no, no. The movie the kid was in before, the actor.
I do not. I would have to look it up. To be honest,
What was the actor? Who's the name of the actor?
his name is Tom Holland.
Yeah, he was in a big sci-fi movie. I'm trying to think. Let me see if I can look it up. Um, 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 um,
Yeah, anyway, there's going to be a new Spider movie, and he'll be in Captain America. I'm pretty excited about it. It's uh, should address the problem of people had with the Sony Spider-Man games. I'm sorry, movies, and how he was not in the Avengers, even though Spider-Man's totally an Avenger because the Avenger. I'm sorry, I fell asleep thinking about that.
I don't know. I
It,
like the Avengers as they are. My favorite one's Tony Stark, just because he's a cocky
it,
asshole, and I relate to that so well.
it was a really good movie. It really was.
Woohoo! LUI updated. Sorry.
It was a a good movie. Although Jurassic World has stomped the shit out of it in the box office. It's made over $1 billion already, and since we're discussing classic games, did either of you ever play the Jurassic Park game
No.
for Nintendo?
Mm.
no.
Really? Nintendo actually introduced a special controller for this. It had a little red, like it was a directional pad, but it was a little red circle, and you could move your thumb around it, and it had the normal buttons. I don't remember what it was called. I would have to look it up, but it was designed specifically for that game, and the idea was you could play other games with it as well. And no, you couldn't. And the Jurassic Park game, it worked amazingly well with it, but it just didn't work as well with other games like Mario or Zelda. Like it would fuck up your gameplay to use it.
Hmm.
I've never heard of it.
I the only Jurassic Park game I remember, I think, was for the Sega Genesis, and I only got to like try it at a game store or something. I don't think I ever really got to play any of the Jurassic Park games.
The only Jurassic Park game that I would play now is the Lego Jurassic one, which looks cool as hell.
Well, Lego anything is cool as hell. So.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Did you see the open alpha for the Lego Worlds? It's kind of like Minecraft, but all Lego, and it looks really fun.
I would play that game.
It
I would
looks
play.
so fun, and it's just it looks adorable, and I love it, and I want it.
Basically, with Lego, everything is awesome.
Everything is awesome.
I knew you were gonna do that.
Of course, you knew I was going to do it. Anyway,
Did you know I was gonna sing it?
I knew. I knew it was coming.
she did. She did.
I know things. I know everything.
She probably does.
Everything?
Anyway, we're actually just at the hour mark. I think
Wait. Before we go, I just wanna, since we got kind of sidetracked, I wanted to say the classic games that I loved, or some of the classic games I remember at least. And these are just kind of not great famous games, but just kind of games that I enjoyed when I was younger. Uh, um, One of them, I cannot think of the title exactly, but I think it was called Mutant League Hockey, and I don't know how many people ever play these games on the old systems, but hockey games and soccer games were a lot of fun on the classic systems. And this one, it wasn't like one of the traditional sports games. There were aliens and mutants, and robots, and all kinds of things. And I could just sit there and play this game for hours. Literally hours. And it was just a lot of fun. And then other things I liked were Excite Bike, um, just and yeah, that one I loved making levels on Excite Bike. I loved making huge ramps and just jumps and traps and all kinds of things. It was a lot of fun. Oh, and of course the classic Pokemon game. The
Ah,
original Pokemon.
Pokemon!
Yes, the original Pokemon, which was the funnest, probably, maybe. Or I'm just being really nostalgic.
Pokemon's amazing.
It is. But the original 150,
Ah,
that was fun.
those touched my heart real close. Real close to my heart place.
But those were all classic games that I loved growing up, and that
I
were
think
just
my
lots
favorite
of fun.
classic games, definitely Pokemon. The original Pokemon. Sims 1 that launched in the like I think mid to late 90s, and
Mhm.
the original Harvest Moon games. Oh God, I love them so much. Oh, I love
Hmm.
Harvest Moon.
I think I'm gonna have to go for um, just because these are the ones I played. I'm okay. Growing up, um, we couldn't get every game that came out, but like
Of course,
I'm old enough to remember playing on a fucking Atari. Okay, so I'm old.
you're old.
Yeah, I know, but I'm gonna I'm gonna have to say four different things here. Well, I guess you could say five. Sonic is one of them. Like, but I like the older games, so I'm not going to include that much. Anyway, um, Mega Man, uh, Super Mario Brothers, Legend of Zelda, and Castlevania. Like if you could pick any game out of out of those four genres, it would most likely be something I have enjoyed and played because it's cool. They're really amazing games, and I spent chunk of a large chunk of my childhood playing those games and trying to beat them over and over and over and over and over again just to get. Oh well, I could also hang on. I could throw in Metroid, but that's a different topic right there because
Oh,
Metroid is just it's a different type of game entirely for me.
oh! I forgot my favorite game of all time. Final Fantasy 3 in the US, which is Final Fantasy 6 in Japan, which is in my opinion, the best game of all time. And I don't care what anyone says about Final Fantasy 7. Final Fantasy 6, which was a much better game.
You heard it here first. Nick throwing down shade.
I'm not saying Final Fantasy 7 was a bad game. I liked it. But I'm tired of people saying that 7 was the greatest, most revolutionary thing ever. It was not. If you never played Final Fantasy 3 or 6, depending on what you want to call it, on the Super Nintendo, you did not know a brand new gaming experience.
Shade.
Anyway, we're like I said, we're about uh, at the hour mark, so I think that may be it for this week. Um, Next week, oh, I don't even know what we're going to talk about. I think we've talked about everything already.
We're going to talk about nothing. We're going to be Seinfeld.
No. I
Yeah.
don't know what
Anyway,
we'll talk about next week.
huh?
We'll figure it out.
We always do. We always come up with something. But yeah. Anyway, I think it's going to be it for this week. Unless you guys have any final thoughts about classic video games and how much better things used to be with video games.
Nah.
Hooray for marriage equality and hooray for classic Pokemon.
Yay!
Hooray! But yeah, that's going to be it. Thank you to
Yes.
everyone who actually watched this. What? Was I talking over that? I'm sorry.
Danny, do it again. Yes.
Yes.
Finally. I'm so happy now.
Yeah. Okay, Nick, are you happy she finally did it on the air?
Yes, I am. She, just to let our viewers know, she keeps doing that when we're not on the air, and I was like, Danny, you have to do that on the air. Why aren't you doing that on the air, please? So thank you,
There you
Danny.
go. Burps. Burps for everyone.
Thank you.
Hooray! Burps for everyone and marriage for everyone. Woo-hoo!
Woohoo!
But yeah, that's going to be it for this week. So thank you to everyone who actually watched this when we're doing this live, and also thank you to everyone who watched it, after it was live. So we'll be back next week, and don't forget the midweek update on Wednesday. And I promise I'm going to get back to doing the walkthroughs. I need to actually do one for the new Tavern Brawl for Hearthstone, so keep an eye out for that. And that's really it, I think.
Woohoo! I did it.
I should kick your butt on Hearthstone.
You can try. You can try.
I've beaten you every time.
You can try.
That sounds like a challenge, my friend.
It
I
does
have.
sound like a challenge.
I've beaten him every time.
We may actually have to make a live stream out of that, of me beating Nick at Hearthstone.
Or
Yes.
you mean Nick kicking your ass?
Pretty much.
No,
That would be a more accurate title.
no.
Don't lie to the people now, John.
I can lie to people, maybe, but no. I would beat Nick. Okay, Nick. Okay. Officially, let's make this a thing. Let's you and me do a couple of Hearthstone matches. I don't know what 3 out of 5, and we'll just see what happens.
Sure.
He'll kick your ass.
Pretty much.
If I
But
was
yeah,
a betting woman, I would put my money on Nick.
Danny's a smart person.
I
You're
try
just
to be.
saying that because you wanted to burp again.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, that's gonna be it for this week. So see you guys next week. Please remember to Oh shit. Anyway, okay. That's gonna be it this week. Please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe, tell all your friends. Next week we may actually do the live thing again because I really enjoyed reading the comments. It's been a lot of fun. So thank you to everybody who's commenting. Um, we'll see you next week, I guess. Bye bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Shut up, Nick.
No.
Yeah, Nick, shut up.